New Zealand is often described as being like heaven on earth. A picturesque, prosperous country offering the Kiwi dream of equality and opportunities for all. But behind this deceptive image, New Zealand is failing many of its children. It is hard to believe that in such an incredible country, children are going without the basics. Nearly a third of all New Zealand children are living in poverty. This might mean not having a good pair of shoes or not having a bed to sleep in at night. The number of children living in poverty can fill Eden Park 5 times over. These children's childhoods bear little resemblance to the upbringings which we took for granted. Far too many Kiwi kids are turning up to school cold, wet, and hungry. A principal of a Decile 1 school in South Auckland said that around half of his students come to school without lunch. Not just the odd one or two, but half. Would you be able to learn if you had a stomach pleading for food? When a child is not fed, does not have shoes, it makes a difference to their learning. The effects of poverty on education can be seen as only 68% of students from the poorest communities achieved level 2, compared to 93% from the wealthiest communities. Hunger is a major factor that leads to poorer educational outcomes, but it is not the only factor. When you are poor, you feel pressured to drop out and get a job to support the whole whānau. You feel pressured to take care of a sick family member because if you don't, no one else will. If children are starving and have a huge burden on their shoulders, how can they gain the qualifications needed to go into work or further study? How can they grow up to become productive members of society? Not only are Kiwi kids going to school hungry, but they are also living in slum-worthy houses that are cold, damp, moldy, and overcrowded. Those children are the lucky ones. For some, a car, garage or motel room is their house. The Kiwi dream of a family home on a quarter-acre section is slowly but surely disappearing. No wonder 40,000 children are admitted to hospital every year, suffering diseases such as respiratory illnesses and skin infections. Rheumatic fever is running rampant in poor communities. Rheumatic fever can lead to permanent heart problems and death. This disease has been eradicated in much of Europe and America many decades ago. Today, it is most commonly found in developing countries, and in New Zealand. The fact that we have diseases typical of third world countries is simply unacceptable. Living a life of deprivation can cause lasting damage to a child. Just imagine you are poor and today is the first day of the school year. While your classmates were making friends and talking about what they got for Christmas, you sit by yourself thinking about why you do not have the same things as others have. When your classmates are playing sports or going on school camps, you got left behind. Your self-esteem is severely compromised. Although it may seem insignificant, these seemingly little things have a huge impact on a child, both now and into the future. For these children, life is focused on survival, nothing else. So, you may ask, why should I care? Child poverty does not just affect the child, it affects New Zealand. Who is going to pay for the issues caused by poverty such as poor health, rising crime, and dependence on social welfare? We are. Child poverty costs us $10 billion per year, 3/4 of which is avoidable. The choice is simple. Addressing child poverty today would not only enrich the lives of the children concerned, but it would also reduce the money we are spending responding to those issues. If we choose to ignore child poverty, the inequality will worsen, and it will perpetuate intergenerational poverty. We need to remember that these children are the future of our country and we need to ask ourselves, should we let our children grow up this way? Earlier this year, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern was praised for introducing the Child Poverty Reduction Bill. However, Setting targets alone will not feed and clothe hungry children. UNICEF said, "We have normalized child poverty as a society, that a certain level of need in a certain part of the population is somehow okay. But child poverty is not normal, and it is not okay." Many New Zealanders downplay the issue of child poverty, and some even believe that there is no real poverty in New Zealand. Child poverty is real. Drive 20 minutes down the motorway from central Auckland and you will be confronted with the realities of child poverty. Children pleading for food. Children walking to school in bare feet. Some children may not even have electricity at home. While these children in poverty do not die of starvation, they live a life of suffering. This is not the Kiwi way. People are always trying to find evidence of poor decision-making to prove that people deserve to live in poverty. The internet is flooded with comments like, "If you cannot afford to feed and clothe your kids, stop breeding, and the parents are useless, they must be lazy and wasting money on booze and ciggies." These convenient myths are used to justify a broken system. The truth is, people cannot cope with the increasing cost of living and a welfare system that punishes our most vulnerable citizens. We need to stop being ignorant and blaming people. At the end of the day, no one is better off, and nothing is being done to help the deprived children. We used to believe that New Zealand is the land of equal opportunity. Not anymore. For 290,000 kids, the Kiwi dream of equality and opportunities is just that, a dream. Despite child poverty reduction targets being set, poverty continues to be a persistently harsh reality for far too many New Zealand children. We must face up to this reality and do something about it. If children are coming to school cold, wet and hungry, they cannot learn. If children cannot learn, nothing will change. If nothing will change, we will all have to pay the price. Kiwi kids deserve better.